So in this video, I'll be talking about 5 back-to-school tips, boarding school edition. Going to boarding school is much like going to any other school. You just live there. So in this video, I will be talking about 5 tips that I wish I knew before going to boarding school. Tip number 1 is whether or not you should buy items or you shouldn't buy items. So what I mean by buying items, I mean like big items, like a large lamp or a futon or a beanbag or even a rug. Because most dorm rooms tend to be small, so you may not have space for a futon or the large lamp. And you don't want your room to be like over cramped and like not a lot of space for you to hang out with your friends or study. So freshmen tend to have smaller rooms, so like I said before, don't buy big items because they will take up too much space. One tip I have is lighting. You will most likely your dorm room may not have overhead lighting. My dorm room did not have overhead lighting, and so I brought fairy lights / Christmas lights to light my room. Those Christmas lights were not enough to light my room during study hall or just like at night when like I needed to see. So a past student had left a lamp, and I was able to get that lamp and use that rather than spending the $20-30 on a new one. So I'm not saying that you don't need to buy lamps because your school could possibly have overhead lighting, like fluorescent lighting, but I do recommend buying a desk lamp and see on your bed at night if you don't want the overhead lighting. Other items that I don't recommend getting until you get to your dorm room is furniture, as I mentioned, because you may not be able to have your favorite beanbag from home. Another item that I don't recommend buying is extra storage space, because you may not need the extra storage space. You may have your own closet in your dorm room and then a nice big dresser for all your t-shirts and pants and whatever, but you may end up having to share a closet with your roommate, so you may not want to buy a hanging shelf or something, because then that takes up your space and possibly your roommate's space, and that's not, nice to take up their space. Also, any like extra drawers, you may not need those also. I don't recommend buying those because they're bulky items. They're hard to, depending on what you buy, they may be hard to get them to the school and when you move out. And you may realize that the closet that you have and the 6 drawers or the 7 drawers or whatever number drawers your school gives you may be just enough for your clothes. For me, it was not enough. If I had gotten those extra drawers, I probably would have had more space, but I was able to manage. Overall, for this tip, don't buy any extra furniture until you see your dorm and until you've moved all your stuff in, like all your clothes, any decorations you have, because you may realize that you have more clothes than you thought you did, because I did. I had way too many clothes once I finished moving in, and I was like, what am I gonna do? So the second tip that I have to offer is about roommates. Some boarding schools may be big enough that you'll have your own room, while others are not. So if you have a roommate or roommates, as in 2 other ones, take the time to know them. These are people that you'll be spending the next 9 months with. Make sure you tell them what is bothering you. Like, for instance, if they're leaving the lights on while you're trying to sleep, or if they leave their stuff on your side of the room. Some people have never had to clean up after themselves, so they're not used to like, oh, I need to pick this up off the floor because this is not nice to my roommate who's trying to be clean or whatever. If the situation with your roommate is more tense than rather than being clean or not, for example, if they're being rude to you, disrespecting you, your items, your space as a whole, you can talk to whoever is in charge of student residency or student life at your school, and maybe they can help work out whatever problems you and your roommate may have. The third tip that I have for you is how to deal with stress. Going into high school can be stressful, and going into boarding school can be even more stressful because you're away from your friends, your family, your dog, your cat, anything and everything that is familiar to you. At your school, there may be students that are assigned to help you deal with being homesick, and at my school we have those, and they're like the sweetest people. Most of the they're required to keep everything between you and them. They can't tell anyone else unless it's a serious problem. If you want to talk to someone who has a more professional background, your school may have a counselor or a therapist that you can talk to, and of course they keep everything between you and them. One thing that was stressful for me in boarding school was definitely the move-in day, just because my room didn't come out the way that I wanted it, and there were people that were like, you have to sign these papers before you can move in, you can't move in, you have to sign these papers. When I did sign those papers, it was just someone else was there that handed me the papers. But if you end up dealing with the stress of moving in and your room not turning out the way it looked on Pinterest, just remember that you can redecorate, you can rearrange your room, you can get the whole entire school year to make your room the way you want it. So it's just a little thing that you should try not to sweat too much. The fourth tip that I have for you is about making friends. Being at boarding school, making friends and having friends is really important and helpful in this journey in your life. Because you're at a place where your old friends are not, they may not be there. You don't have a familiar face to talk to, so that's a little scary. Boarding school has so many different people of different ethnic groups, people who like anime movies, people who like soapy love movies, bookworms, all types of people that you may not see at your hometown or at your old school. I highly recommend trying to make friends with people that you would never experience before. For example, you may never interact with a student from Germany if your school's an international school. And learning about that culture, their culture and their country, and how things are different in Germany and how things are different in America. It's really interesting to learn about another person and wow, this person who's 2,000, 4,000 miles away from me, we do the same things every day. And it's whoa, it's a small world. Being friends with the person outside of your comfort zone can open your eyes to so many cool things. You can realize that anime TV shows are amazing. Their theme songs. Last and final tip for you is to have fun, because boarding school is an experience. There are so many different things you can try. You can go skiing. If your school has a class trip for skiing, you can try acting, or you can try dance, or you can learn a new language that your old school didn't provide. Making the most of your boarding experience and absorbing everything that you can, because you may discover that boarding school isn't the right fit for you, or that the school you're at isn't what you want, or is it what you need. Try new things, have fun, make new friends, make new memories, because boarding school is just a chapter in our lives. We're teenagers, we can have fun, we can let loose, just have fun, make the most out of this experience. I hope these tips are helpful to you in your boarding school experience. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.